for guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but for Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser tonight, guys, he is your SeatGeek player of the game. Guys, it is the holiday season. I want to take a quick second to shout out SeatGeek, who is the sponsor of tonight's post-game show. SeatGeek, you can get your tickets. Really, really good, great ticketing app. I use it when I go to my Celtics games. They divvy up the seats. They give you color-coded seats. If you know me, Seamus, I know you. You're a very organized guy. You love your color coding. Good seats, green for good seats, yellow seats for moderate, and then red, obviously, trying to keep you away from those tricky deals on SeatGeek. So they break it all down for you. They're a great ticketing app. Use code Celtics Weekly at checkout for $20 off your first purchase. Again, Celtics Weekly at checkout. Now, Sam Hauser, fellas, no Jason Tatum, no Drew Holiday. He gets a start tonight. He comes in and he drops 20 points. And I mean, come on. Absolutely efficient. 2 of 2 from 2-point range, 5 of 10 from 3-point range, 1 of 1 at the free throw line. Had a steal in there as well, attacking the glass. Sam Hauser just about did it all tonight, and he is your SeatGeek player of the game. Seamus, we'll start with you. We talk about this. We were talking about this bench production. We talk about Peyton Pritchard, and Luke Cornett's been playing really well, really good as well. But felt like Sam Hauser's been off recently. Certainly coming out of his shell here tonight is showing you what he's more than capable of, pretty much on an every night basis.
Yeah, Sam Hauser in the beginning portion of this season so far, he's really had his one shooting slump of his entire career, because now we have 2 seasons worth of data of him shooting quite well from 3. And yet coming into this season, those numbers dipped quite a bit. But we all know Sam Hauser, with those 2 seasons of data under his belt, we know his capabilities specifically from the 3-point arc. And 5 of 10 tonight. Is great to see him actually start hitting his 3-point shots and just shots in general, because Sam Hauser, Chris Forsberg said it after the game, he's somebody who consistently plays hard on both ends of the floor, not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end as well. And we talked about it on a post game last week where Sam Hauser, he's part of that group of Celtics that we thought, maybe not the best defenders in the world, but he competes on that end of the floor. And he's been tremendously better at that end of the floor than he was when he first came in with the Celtics as a two-way player. And we all know offensively too, he has a little bit more of an offensive bag within his game now. You see, when he has the ball in his hands, when he first started with the Celtics, he was straight up just catch and shoot, spot up shooter. Now there is a little bit more dribbling within his game. And I'll add another thing on the offensive end with Sam Hauser. He constantly moves on that end of the floor. And that's really what drove me crazy about Celtics teams of the past 2021 and 2022. It was, we just don't have guys who are just moving constantly on offense. We need more movement. And Sam Hauser, he's brought that to this team 100%. And we saw it tonight, especially against the Pistons.
Yeah, as the Celtics honesty broker, Sam's not been that good this season. And I think it's been an issue, and I'm glad to see him starting to find his stride. On the season, he's 33% from deep at home. And this is kind of an NBA adage that role players are supposed to kind of play better at home, and Sam has not played well at home at all. He's only 35% from deep on the season. That's down 7-8% from last year. And I think the problem with him is that I've noticed his movement's fantastic. He's rushing his shot a lot. And I think tonight he was very comfortable just letting his shot go to him. There's this kind of NBA wave of guys trying to shoot as soon as it lands in their fingertips and just kind of go up with it. And I think Hauser was doing a decent job doing that last year, but for whatever reason, it did not translate well at all this year so far. And I think he's kind of going back to his regular shooting motion a little more. And let's put it like this. If he's moving constantly and he's open, he doesn't need to shoot as soon as it touches his fingertips. He can do his dip and go up and he'll be fine. And I think him making that slight tweak, he's 40% from deep over his last 10 games. He's clearly looking a little more like the Hauser that broke out a few years ago, and it was pivotal in the title run last year. And I think that's a guy the Celtics need, because I think if they're going to continue to play this 5-out basketball, particularly when Porzingis isn't on the floor, they need a guy like Hauser to be that 40% from deep. And I think we saw it, especially there was like a 20-game sample of this already throughout the season. Pritchard is leading the league in bench scoring. We've heard it a million times. He's up by like 60 points in the stat. But for a while, it felt like Pritchard was the only semi-consistent guy coming off the bench. And I think that was a problem for a long time. And if Hauser can slowly get back to being the Hauser that we know, that really solidifies that second unit, because the second unit has been kind of bad for much of the season outside of Pritchard. And I understand why people would overlook that, because Pritchard is getting so many headlines and he deserves them. But at the same time, that is a weakness for the Celtics. So if Hauser can kind of breathe life into that second unit again and be this kind of spot starter that can get you 16 to 20 points on any given night, that just adds that extra dynamic element that the Celtics have really honed in on the last few years.
I think it's so interesting because what Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser have been able to turn into for this team. And we talk about what Sam Hauser has been able to turn into for this team. Seamus, you and I were just talking about it 2 nights ago on the post-game show. These guys who are stepping up, these guys were two-way players. These guys were G League players for the Boston Celtics just a couple of years ago. Sam Hauser comes in undrafted, balls out in the summer league, gets a contract deal from the Celtics, 2-way contract deal. Then, if you guys remember, later in that season, his rookie year, the Celtics had like 5 open roster spots after the trade deadline. So what they do? They brought in Sam Hauser, brought in Luke Cornett, who was on a 2-way deal, and they've been with this team ever since. And it's been so amazing to see these guys grow into such solid role players for a championship, not only championship winning team, but a continuously year after year, a championship contending team. And I think it's a test to, you mentioned once again, Seamus, the development, the coaching staff for this team, and every single player on this roster has improved in their time that they've been here. So credit to Sam Hauser for staying ready, part of that stay ready group. I don't know if you could say he's part of that stay ready group anymore. I don't, coming off the bench, obviously you got to stay ready coming off the bench, but
this year he
is. He's been very spotty at times this season, to say the least, but it was really good to see him kind of come back out of his shell here tonight and really put up a solid performance in a night where you're missing Jason Tatum.